I know you guys all probably, remember when you were 18 years old, how you had hopes and dreams and you were like full of life and excited about everything. That was me. I was a bubbly 18-year-old. I was noisy and I was boisterous and excited about life. And I was all about, everything I did. Well, I got married pretty young, right out of high school, 18 years old, and I was going to Rolling Hills of Nothingness in Minot, North Dakota. I married a military guy, and I wasn't prepared for what was to come next. I lived a pretty good life. I had a pretty good childhood overall. And so basically, you guys probably all, go to sleep at night and you rest your head on your pillow, and you probably think of this as a very peaceful symbol, like, oh yeah, finally it's bedtime, I get to sleep. This was almost a murder weapon for me, and I was so unprepared for that. And it was one night when we were going to sleep, and my ex-husband just basically snapped. We were just talking about babysitting the next day, and it wasn't anything like out of the ordinary that you would think would make somebody angry and upset and mad. But the next minute I knew I was being smothered and strangled under a pillow, and I couldn't breathe. And it occurred to me, this might be my last breath. I might not get another because he's not with it. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I was just like, I might not get a call in the name of the Lord one more time. And so I got a breath, one breath, and I said the name of Jesus. That's it. That startled him enough that he woke up to what he was doing to me. And I broke free and I ran out of there, downstairs. I was afraid to run outside. I was afraid that he would hurt me or whoever I told, because he was 6'4" and 220 pounds, and angry was not a good thing for him. So I locked myself in the bathroom. And I remember looking at, I was this teenager, looking at my hands, and they were just shaking. Looking at myself in the mirror, thinking, who am I? I don't even recognize myself. I don't even recognize who I am right now. And I heard him upstairs screaming, and he ripped the phone out of the wall. At that moment, I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I couldn't continue in that mess I was in. That might be a little bit extreme, but we can all be in a mess, and we can all feel stuck, and we can all have places in our lives that aren't where we need to be, and they're not in integrity with who we are. So it took me a while, but eventually I left that mess behind. And I took my 2 kids at the time, I didn't have 3 yet, and I was just like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had never worked full-time in my freaking life. I had only been a mom, and I'd only worked maybe like at a steakhouse, a donut shop. I had no clue about, earning a living. I had never, been out there. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was scared, I was alone, I was afraid, but I knew I wasn't going to live the way I had been living. I had made a decision. I wasn't going to live like that. It all starts with a decision first. So I got a job at the YWCA, and it was perfect for me. God had that there for me when I needed it. There was a women's shelter, and I started kind of working in the women's shelter, helping abused women and children. And I remember during that time having this experience where I noticed everybody was talking about, they were out of their mess, but they were still talking about it, they were living in it. They were still living their stories. Like one lady, it had been 10 years, still living in that story. And I thought to myself, I don't want to live in my story. I might have been in a mess, and this might be a mess, but I am not a mess. And I am not going to live what has happened to me. So I made up my mind. I wasn't going to sit and feel sorry for myself. I wasn't going to talk about it. I was going to get to work. But in my heart, I decided that someday, when I do have the resources and I have gotten through this story, I am going to have a place for women where they can feel empowered, and they can have confidence, and they can have support, and they can have the resources that they need for whatever they're going through, because I didn't have them at the time. And I wanted to have that place. And I remember thinking that in my heart. So a lot of time has passed since then, because I was 29 years old at the time, and I'm almost 57. And so I've done a lot of jobs. It didn't make any sense at the time. They were just a means to get by, and I thought, why am I doing this job? But now, looking back, I can connect all of the dots. I can connect all of the dots of why at the time that was a necessary skill for what I'm about to do and what I'm doing now, and the greater vision that I have for everyone in here and anyone that comes through my doors. So it wasn't too long ago. I mean, this is a very momentous day. This is a momentous day today. It wasn't too long ago. I was scrolling through the internet. I was on my phone, and I was looking, and I was like, I saw YWCA came up, and I had forgotten about it. I hadn't thought about it in all that time, and it was right before we were getting ready to walk into the studio where we were opening, and it brought back to me on my real heart-to-heart what my why was. Because sometimes you can get lost in the gray. And I was looking at this YWCA post, and it was this woman that was getting a Goodman Place Award, which is what I used to work with years ago. And one of the women in there was mentioning how much help she had got when she lived at the Y, and I realized I actually worked with her. And then this, I don't remember the lady's name, but she was receiving the award, and she had done all this stuff for empowering women. I don't know, you have to drop a brick on me sometimes. That's when I realized, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing. I've got an organization, I'm empowering women. And I remembered what I had thought all those years ago, and now it was happening for real. I was really stepping into it. And I could not talk. I don't know, it was just one of those moments, one of those defining moments where you know you were in your purpose, you were living it. I could not talk, I was speechless for 10 minutes with my mouth hanging open. And I was just like, my husband wouldn't believe this, because I'm never speechless. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So it was just really that full circle moment, you know? And I just want to say, like, when I was being, almost strangled to death and smothered under pillows, and I could barely breathe, I realized I really wanted to live. I realized I really wanted to live. I had a lot to live for, and I had a lot of people that depended on me. My children, for one, my friends, my family. And after that, I was never the same. I almost felt like I cheated death in a way. And I've never lived the same ever since. I have never lived the same ever since. And I just want to say, sometimes in life, we are victimized. You can be victimized, but you do not have to live as a victim. Things can happen to you, and shit happens, right? Where you're just like, oh my God, how am I going to put up with this? What am I going to do? How am I going to get unstuck? And I just want to say that it is a choice. I may have been victimized, but it's a choice to stay there. You can get up, you can move out of it, and you can move on with your life and change your story 100%, because I have, and you guys all have. Sometimes it's a struggle, sometimes I fall back into that, but I tell you what, with knowing that it is a choice, and you can choose every day to be grateful, and you can find things that lift you out of that, and that you don't have to live like that. And so I would just say to you all today that you can have the life that you want. It's a choice. You have to step out of fear, and you have to move forward in faith. And I just want to thank all of you guys for being a part, for being here, for coming, for everything that you do. It's rewarding to me to be in this space with all of you. And I am so thankful to have the Sisterhood of Sweat, where we can all support one another, like you guys supported me so much today. And I really, really, really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you for coming. So, without anything else, I just want to say, this is kind of where my brand came from, because I really wanted to wave an SOS flag, like somebody help me out. So SOS is kind of the whole Sisterhood of Sweat. So whenever you need help, just remember that